Hey guys, long time no see. Well, you guys have been seeing my videos. I actually managed to get a lot filmed so that I wouldn't have to worry about filming, and now my buffer is gone. So it's time to film a bunch before I leave on a really exciting trip next month. There will be a video about that. I'm so excited. But before anything else, just a little bit of housekeeping before I start this video, just to kind of let you guys know what's going on. Everything's gonna kind of be all over the place right now. If you follow me on Instagram, you kind of know somewhat of the situation that I'm going through right now. It's a long story. My life is a mess. It's okay. So uploads may be spotty. Sorry about that. I do have a lot of stuff that I have planned. It's just taking a hot minute for me to be able to find time to get to it. But don't worry, stuff is coming. Second thing, in case you're interested, I have now started uploading all of my pattern files and stuff on Ko-fi. So if you don't want to have to sub to my Patreon in order to get it, they are available on Ko-fi for a small price, between $2 to $5, depending on what it is. And some of them are free because it's stuff that I can't find the person who originally posted the files that were either free or that I purchased somewhere. They don't exist anymore. So I'm putting those up because I really want to share them with people, especially my Alfonso patterns that I found. So feel free to download those if you'd like to try and make your own Al cosplay. All right, let's talk making Draconic Ysera. So she's not 100% done. I'd say she's at 99% completed, only because there are things I realized I'm going to have to tweak in order to make her fully DragonCon ready, such as this little part on her belt. And I want to have a prop for her because I just think it'd be really nice. One thing when I wore her to Atlanta Comic Con was when I was up on stage walking around, I felt really naked without a prop in my hand. I didn't like it. So I'm working on making a prop that I can use for her as well as Keyleth that will, because they both have kind of the same vibe in that regard. So we'll see whenever I get around to it. I'm hoping to have it done by MomoCon so I can use it for Keyleth, but no promises there because life's a mess and I don't know when I'll have time to do it. Also, I'm hyperfixating on other things at this point. But without further ado, here's how I designed and created my own Draconic Ysera cosplay. Ysera is the green dragon aspect, which means she's essentially the queen of the green dragons. I've always really loved her. I just think that she's like a really sweet character, but also like her ferocity when she has to protect others has always been really admirable. I never personally felt comfortable wearing her original outfit. It was not something that really fit me as I am, so I had always dreamed of creating my own design, but especially when all of the news came out about Blizzard Entertainment and especially the World of Warcraft group and the harassment and assault that was going on, I really didn't feel comfortable wearing an outfit that was potentially designed by one of these like really creepy guys. So one day I was sick and I couldn't sleep and I was staying up contemplating stuff. I just was trying to find something that would help me go to sleep because I was in a lot of pain, and it just kind of clicked. What if I made Ysera based entirely on her dragon design? It's honestly something I kind of wonder why Blizz didn't do in the first place, because I think it would be really cool to have all of the dragon aspects in their like normal mortal forms actually have a lot more nods to their dragon form. And I hate sewing, so I really wanted to do something that would allow me to incorporate a lot of armor, so this was kind of the perfect way for me to be able to do that. Now, this may not be my final design. I have ideas that I might want to implement, but as of right now, this is where we're at, and this is where I'm staying at. I will also say I've made a couple of other dragon aspect redesigns. If you're interested, they are available on Patreon. I have Sindragosa based on the new Alex Straza design, but with a twist. I have a new Alex Straza design, as well as a Tarek Gosa that's kind of like a ball gown version, and a Femme Nostormu that is more armor than anything, and I absolutely love her. The biggest thing that I really wanted to tackle with Ysera was upping my skills in painting. I don't have an airbrush. It's not something I'm planning on purchasing anytime soon. It's a little bit too expensive and I don't really have the space for it. So I use acrylics, as well as really upping my dremeling and texture game. So I wanted to emulate a lot of the scale work that she has. Now, I did pre-purchase the Yaya Han scale foam because I just wanted to make that easier on myself, but I wanted to go nuts with all of the more like chest plating that a dragon has and just really play with it and see what can I do with the Dremel work and the design of it. I made both the bracers and the legs in the exact same way, so I'm going to explain that really quickly here and just show you the footage for the bracer because I have a lot more of that than the legs. Essentially what I did for the bracers, I used the Sylvanas pattern from Kenpatsu Cosplay, and for the legs, I used Kenpatsu Cosplay's Night Peach pattern, which I absolutely love for all of my armor. I measured out exactly what portion of it would be the scaled part of the Yaya Han foam and what part of it would be joined together to create the underbelly fin that would be able to come unvelcroed that I could just use to basically sandwich my leg between. There was a base foam underneath the fin itself in order to just have adhesion to it. And from there, the fin was created by taking 2 pieces of 10mm foam and slowly carving them down to have where they were very thick at the bottom and very thin at the top. And they were just basically glued together to look like a little mountain. And I just went Dremel crazy on them to create all the textures. One side of each piece has a part where it comes completely unvelcroed, so it just snaps on and snaps off really easily. All the Velcro is heavy-duty adhesive Velcro that I also hot glue down just for more security. I added foam dowels around all of the scaled area because I really wanted to separate the scales from the fin itself. And then honestly from there, I just did more Dremel wear and tear so that you had that really nice like weathered look and went crazy on the painting. I created the collar using Kinpatsu Cosplays' Sylvanas pattern. And from the collar, I just simply have it with a backpack clip in the back to attach it. It makes it really easy to take on and off. It's something that I can just slip on, and the hair itself hides it from the wig. And then also I have the connectors to the shoulders underneath that attach straight to them to hold them in place. I used foam clay to create all the details and the dowels to create all the edges, and it was pretty easy to just paint and weather this. The hip armor was basically just created with the foam dowels and the Yaya Han scales. Lots of Dremel work, lots of painting work. I had to sit there and paint for hours on end to get all the colors just right. Lots of weathering to really make those colors pop. I think it really worked out in the end. Just like with Fighter Jester though, in order to attach them, I created a little elastic band that wraps around my waist, and they have clear bra straps that just clip onto this elastic band underneath my armor, and then from there they just hang down without any other attachments. The hand armor I created originally to attach to the glove, but I've since decided I'm going to actually just attach it to the bracer because it has fallen off my gloves multiple times. But it was essentially just a tiny piece of the Yaya Han foam with the dowels and then painted and weathered, etc. I 3D designed my own crown using Tinkercad. I then printed it using a FlashForge Finder 3 at the max size that I could. It almost wound up being a bit too big, so I'm really glad I didn't have a larger printer. I wasn't sure what size I needed with this until I could see it like in person with the horns and everything. It's actually just hot glued directly to the horns and the wig, and it's pretty secure. I sanded it down a ton, used the filler primer to make it a lot smoother. At some point got really tired of sanding and just said it's good enough, I'm going to paint it, and then attached some cute little gems on it to bedazzle it. The belt was simply some fabric that I had left over from when I made my cape, and it is weathered and torn up a bunch, and it wraps around my waist with the little tiny belt light that goes on it. I am working on making this fit a lot better. I haven't figured that out 100%. I have some ideas, but I'm trying to make it where it looks seamless. But yes, this does in fact light up. I will be explaining a lot more on how I created my light up accessories for Ysera in the shoulder video, which that will be its own separate video because there was so much that I did for the shoulders. The wig was styled by my lovely friend Shay from A Cosplay. Go follow her. And the horns themselves I patterned and created out of Worbla with a tinfoil base, and they are actually bolted directly into the wig. Alright, let's talk the breastplate. In order to create this, I did have to make a full paper pattern that I then disassembled after I created the pattern that I needed from it. I then started figuring out what part of it's going to go only on the scales, what part of it is going to be covered up with plated stuff later on, and then I began assembling the entire pattern. Once I did, I glued the entire thing together and then started using blue painter's tape in order to make the patterns on top of the areas that I needed to add the plated sections of the armor. Once I got all those shapes, I laid them out to make sure that they looked good, proceeded to do a little bit of Dremel work, and started gluing them down so that you had this nice, like, overlapping design on the front. I did the same thing for the back, but it wasn't overlapping, it was just simply side by side. And with the back, I had one section that hung over a little bit further because that was the area that would have the Velcro hidden underneath it. And then from there, like with everything else, the painstaking method of painting it. I unfortunately did not get any footage of me painting anything because I just kind of went into gremlin mode and just painted everything. I can't even explain to you how I did it. And here is the final look. I am so incredibly proud of this, and I cannot believe I made it, let alone within like a month, maybe a month and a half. It was a really short amount of time. Again, the shoulders are going to be explained in another video. I will link it down below once it is available. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comments. I'm really incredibly proud of this cosplay. It was a lot of work, which I was not expecting, especially since I was using like pre-made scale patterns and whatnot. But yeah, that's everything. See you guys later. Bye. I'm gonna break this cosplay.